It's always cool when a game designer takes one neat thing out of a complex genre and turns it into an entire game. That's how we got the MOBA after all, breaking just the heroes out of an RTS. Enter Fellowship, a so-called multiplayer online dungeon adventure that's going to pluck out team-based dungeon raids that are the beating heart of modern MMOs and turn them into a streamlined game without the 100 hours of leveling up before you get to the best stuff. After some time with a development version of Fellowship, I have to say that the concept turned out just as cool as it sounds. It's no nonsense, endlessly scaling dungeon runs in a 4-player team of a tank, a healer, and 2 damage heroes from among a selection of unique classes. In a group you make yourself, or with a team from a handy group finder, you jump in with your chosen role in either short and sweet one-boss adventures or longer multi-boss dungeons, letting you tune your gameplay time depending on whether you've got 10 minutes or an hour to kill. At the end, you pick up your loot, tweak your talents, kick up the difficulty, and go again. I was a bit skeptical that you could have a real, authentic MMO-style dungeon experience without, the MMO, but Fellowship really effectively delivered. You move through the environment, clearing out packs of enemy minions in order to get at the bosses, and all the classic stuff you'd expect is there. You've got to watch your tanks thread and manage aggro, try to make life easy for the healer, keep track of enemy abilities to interrupt the nasty ones, and know how to best use your class's attacks in a good rotation. Behind the wheel of an elemental mage-type character, I had plenty of abilities to manage even at the starting level. My character built up charges that could be used to call down big freezing meteors or channel icy blasts. Our healer, meanwhile, could summon plants that either damaged or healed. It was clear in my short time that each class has a nice, clear vision for what it can and can't do. The thing that my squishy mage couldn't do, by the way, was survive if I took boss aggro. Sorry, tank. Speaking of bosses, I saw 4 interesting set-piece fights that ran the gamut of stuff I expect from modern dungeon runs. In a ghost pirate dungeon, we battled a skeletal shipmaster that required quick reflexes as it tossed our ghosts in and out of our bodies. There was a giant treasure construct that couldn't be tanked. Instead, our tank had to roll around a ball to collect the bits of treasure we were knocking off of it. There was also a giant zombie that summoned the tides, requiring us to shackle ourselves to an anchor and dodge sharks. It wasn't all gimmicks though, and the developers were clear they wanted to strike a balance between fights that require reflexes and understanding clever mechanics with those that really push your ability to play your class's skills to the limit. They gave me a good example of the second with a nasty warlock boss whose up-tempo barrage of skills and summons needed constant interruption even as he created zones that either forced us to group up or to run away at top speed. What I especially liked is how Fellowship will be structured. Dungeon difficulty scales from 1 up to 6 levels, gradually adding new enemy abilities to learn, mechanics to understand, and taking off the training wheels one by one until you hit the intended difficulty. From there, though, it ramps up for dozens of levels, each with their own unique combination of 2 or more curses that have their own downsides and upsides. One of those, for example, could sprinkle nasty empowered minions among the normal enemy packs, but when you beat them, you'd get a short-time buff that let you clear trash even faster or take a handy boost into a boss. The concept of a game focusing on infinitely scaling dungeons, familiar yet dangerous in new ways, is a really cool one. Combine that with the developers' big plans for competitive seasons, where players can start fresh to race up the leaderboards for world first kills on each boss, and I think I'm pretty excited to gear up, spec out, and take on challenges in Fellowship when it launches this year. For more previews of the latest big games, check out our hands-on impressions of Dune Awakening and Elden Ring Night Reign. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.